In this video, I'm going to teach you how to be disciplined and how to get it in a fun and easy way. Whenever I first started getting into working out, I really wanted to work out, but it felt like my motivation to do it would go in waves. It would be really high on one day, and then the next day it'd be kind of okay, I can still do it. And then the next day I'd be in a rut. I wouldn't want to do anything. And so I didn't do anything. In this process of a wave of motivation, I needed to develop discipline to actually get past it. But as I was trying to develop discipline, I hated it. Truly, I hated it because I felt that I had to push myself to do it. I was having the David Goggins mentality where I was having to push myself and force myself to do it. And so I ended up hating the actual process. I hated discipline. This way of looking at things is really common. You might even think that you right now might think that discipline is the David Goggins thing where you push yourself, rah, rah, and you have to convince yourself to wake up every single morning. It's nothing like that, I can promise you. Because what works for David Goggins doesn't work for us. Because if it worked for us, we'd be doing it right now. So clearly, there's a difference in what we have to do, right? We're not David Goggins. Instead, we have to make it enjoyable. Because, let's face it, discipline isn't fun. Forcing yourself to do something against your own will isn't enjoyable. But I have a way of looking at things that might make it easier for you to find enjoyment in discipline. I view discipline as a result, not the process. By which I mean it comes after the equal sign. But what is the reactance, the actual first parts to equal discipline is consistency and time. We can't really influence time because it's just going to keep passing by. But consistency, of course we can change that. Consistency is easy to change. And I have two direct strategies that will help you make it easier to become consistent. The first one is habitualization. That's a big word, but essentially making a habit out of things makes it easier for you to do something. That sounds obvious, but do you have to think about turning on the lights when you wake up? No. You just flick on the light switch and the light switch is on. You don't have to think. You don't have to actively use your mind to turn on a light. Same thing as with eating. You might have to think to cook the meal, but afterwards, you can turn off your brain and just eat. You don't have to think about it. What habitualization does, making a habit, forces your brain to not think. I work out every single morning, or almost every single morning, because it's a habit. I don't think about it. I found that halfway through my workout, I suddenly become conscious and I realize, oh yeah, I've just been working out for the last half an hour. I don't have to think about it, and yet I still do it. That's the power of a habit. Because consistency is very hard to reach if you're having to actively think about it every single day. But if you automatically do it, then it's a breeze. And the second strategy I have for you is enjoyment. Enjoyment. If you enjoy what you have to do, you don't have to force yourself to do it. For example, I don't really like running. I have to be honest with you. I don't like running. And so every time that I do go out for a run, I have to push myself. I have to use some procrastination strategies. I have to use what I know. I have to use my brain. But reading a book, I love reading books. I absolutely adore reading. And so I don't even have to force myself to do it. If I want to read a book, I will. Especially if it's a good book. So instead of forcing yourself to do something, I just go ahead and do it. I actually want to do it. That's what enjoyment does. Enjoyment makes it so that even if you do think about it, you'll want to go ahead and do it. And those two strategies you can combine into one omega or giga strategy. You can have a absolutely monster consistency if you just use those two. That's it. Only those two strategies, and you'll be extremely consistent. People will think you're so disciplined, but in reality, you're just consistent. You don't think about it and you just like doing it. It's not that hard. The action step that I have for you in this video to actually use those two strategies, I want you to get out a piece of paper or a Google document, either or. I want you to write down either of those strategies. Pick one. So either habitualization, actually getting a habit, or enjoyment, actually liking doing it. I want you to pick one of those strategies and actually think about how you would use them in your day-to-day life. Because writing is thinking. By writing down and actually setting an intention to use it, you are that much more likely to actually follow through with it. And once you've figured out how you would use it, I need you to actually start.